The time is finally here for us to dolo Corp. I have both my GIM accounts set up here standing in the POH, geared up and ready to do some Corp. Previously, we've been doing a ton of solo Corp here on the maxed account, which, full disclaimer, sometimes I'll be referring it to as my main account, which can be confusing in RuneScape terms because oftentimes people refer to the main account as a normal account that someone plays, and then you differentiate between accounts by calling them mains or Ironmen account or alts or whatever. It's all a bit complicated, but it's going to be a little bit more complicated today, and I wanted to point that out because amidst our Corp grind here, we've also been training sailing on my normal main account here. We are just one level removed from 99 sailing and becoming maxed once again. So I'll be tuning in with you guys on this when the time comes. But let's not get sidetracked here. Let's go over the gear setup we have on our maxed account here. Wait for it. The centerpiece of our Dolo GIM series here. So I am switching things up slightly from the solo method that I've been doing, which is the full spec down turning Corp into a chicken method. We're not going to be doing that in this Dolo setup here. So really in my inventory, I just have the Elder Maw with a couple of crush accuracy boosts, being the Inquisitor's Helm and the Myth Cape on. So yeah, we're going to be entering like this. But for our main gear that we're going to be wearing, I did switch out the Vernic Defender to the Spectral Spirit Shield. I want to make use of that. It's mostly because of that reason, but also this is going to be a bit tankier option, and Corp is going to hit us a lot harder. Which brings me to our other GIM account, the 50 defense restricted account for 16 hero. Now, it's going to be a bit rough on this account, I imagine, that being 50 defense, and, you know, the gear we have on, we're wearing Varlamore, Perilous Moons gear, the Eclipse set with actually the Blood Moon Helm, which gives us a little bit more melee strength than the Eclipse would, because Eclipse is technically range gear, but the special thing about Moon's gear is that they actually have melee stats, all of them do. But anyways, we got Rune Boots and a Rune Defender because that's all 50 defense allows us. In order to make up some of the defense, I opted to wear the Amulet of Fury instead of the Torture, and the Ring of Suffering imbued instead of the Berserker Ring. I don't know how much of a difference this is going to make. I don't know if it's going to help that much. Maybe more offense is going to help in this situation. I'm not sure. I might adjust this down the line. But to get started, this is the setup I'm wearing. The Osmumten's Fang I have on both accounts. Previously I was using the Noxious Halberd while I was soloing, and that's because Corp would become 0 defense. The Fang is a Corp Bane weapon, and as we know, the Fang is really good on bosses with high defense. And basically, if we look at the inventory on both accounts, all we have is the Elder Maw. So we're just gonna Elder Maw a couple of times each on account, hopefully land 3 to 4 hammers, and then we're gonna be stabbing away. Back on the maxed account, we're actually on the Lunar Spellbook. We're going to be casting Vengeance not only on the character itself, but the other account as well with Vengeance Other. And I did bring Water Runes because I am going to be pot sharing Prayer Potions just to save on those a little bit. The 50 defense account, however, is just going to stay on the standard Spellbook because I need to teleport to the house. And I'm quite lazy on making any house teleport tabs right now. Otherwise, I could probably switch to Thralls or even Vengeance itself. But yeah, that's everything. Let's get into it. By the way, in the middle of editing the previous video, this is what happened. It appears I have gotten yet another Dragon Cannon barrel. That's right. This one is our 5th one in approximately 49,000 opulent salvage. Okay, we are off to a terrible start because while everything is fine on the maxed account, I have attack options hidden on the 50 defense account. Okay, I believe I'm a little bit more situated here. It just occurred to me that I should probably join up in the same party hub on both accounts. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now so I can actually see the specs. In the meanwhile, I gotta try and make sure my accounts stay alive. Again, the method here is we're just gonna be throwing down a couple of hammer specs. I think I've landed 3, 2 on the maxed account here, and then 1 on the other account. Oh, we got the core out already. Oh yeah, there, perfect. Okay. So lots to explain here, but Let's try not to die right now. But basically, I have both accounts in here, obviously. Joined up in the party hub now. We've landed 3 hammer hits. And all we're really going to do is Fang, Corp the rest of the way. Now, the 50 defense account, if we switch the POV over real quick, as I continue to attempt to not die, is absolutely getting hammered right now. And that's maybe because I don't have prayer on. Okay, alright. Awkward. Oh, I couldn't click on anything right there. Well, good night. Oh, no. Okay, let me get situated here, but I did not do myself any favors. I couldn't click on my other client for some reason. Yeah, let me get sorted out here. And then, all right, this is most definitely the first take. Definitely didn't plank on both accounts to start with and have my attack options turned off earlier. All right, let's run in. I actually don't know if I need a re-hammer here, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm in the same party hub on both accounts, so I can see specs across both accounts, no matter which character, which screen I'm looking at. I'm currently bonking with the Elder Maul, so that's not good. But we have plenty of hammers down now. I did TP out with the other account to regenerate some spec, but we're going to be switching over to the Fang. Let's get Vengeance going and then bring 416 Hero back into play. This is going to be a bit of a learning curve and an adjustment period for me, but I don't think this is truly that difficult. I just have to watch my HP bars. Maybe consider bringing some combo food in case I get hit hard, particularly on the 50 defense account standing over on the other side. Now, I'm standing on opposite sides right now for good reason, and that's because when the core comes out, it'll be easy to differentiate which target, or rather which account the core is targeting, and then I'm going to want to get rid of that as soon as possible. But you can see here I'm absolutely slapping Corp. We're doing a ton of damage right now, and for good measure I can dump Fang specs as well. And first KC, some soul runes. Now, when it comes to the KC credit, I imagine Wait For It is going to snag the bulk of them just because of the gear disparity and obviously the stat disparity. I have Piety on this account, whereas the 50 defense does not. This is what I would prefer for all of the KC to go over to this account, as even though I play both accounts, you know, progress is progress made by me regardless. I do want to see this log get filled out on this account first, ideally. But at the same time, if for some reason the other account snipes the Ellie drop, I can't really be upset about that, can I? Because either way, it's mine. It appears that most of my attention is going to have to be focused on 416 Hero, which makes sense. And you know what? I actually have to teleport out. I definitely need some combo food. I didn't adjust any of my inventory from the first run to the second KC here. And yeah, the 50 defense account is absolutely getting hammered. Now, if I was level 70, I could wear Carols because I do have a set of Carols available somewhere in the bank. But yeah, in fact, maybe I should trade the Saturated Heart over, give myself all the extra defensive boosts that I can possibly get, because 416 Hero certainly needs it. I just came back and I have 56 health already. But on the other hand, Corp is already less than 50% health, so yeah, these are quick KCs. Got some Cosmic Runes on the second KC. Once again, the KC credit went over to Wait For It, which is very, very good. And according to our Divine Super Combat timer here, that was roughly a 3 to 4 minute KC, which is very, very quick. This is probably going to more than double our KC per hour, and probably even more once I get the hang of this. Right now, you can tell as I'm banking, I'm taking quite a bit of time. Like, I'm doing it one at a time here. It doesn't help that both accounts have different banking methods. So yeah, it's a little complicated right now, but I will figure it out. Barely surviving on both accounts. Another KC, some death runes. 3 straight KCs of a rune drop so far today. Interesting. In the previous KC, I turned on auto retaliate on both accounts, and I thought I was being smart. You know, it would just help me make sure I was attacking constantly on both accounts. Turns out that was a bad idea when the core came out and I was trying to get rid of the core or just even dodge it, but my characters would auto path back towards Corp because obviously Corp is constantly smacking me. And yeah, it was really hard to control both accounts with auto retaliate on. So back to turning them off, which is something you should always do whenever you're bossing. Anyways, never have auto retaliate on. The only time you should have that on is if you're maybe doing some AFK Slayer or something, but definitely not when you're doing active PVMing, which Corp is considered active PVM for me now that I'm playing on 2 accounts with this method. We definitely went from a very, very laid back method to where I was barely paying attention, and now this is much more intensive, but I will say the trade-off is worth it because even in the few KCs we've done so far, we've already seen very, very quick KCs. Okay, I kind of went silent there for a little bit because I was concentrating on dealing with the core. It seems like it bounces back and forth between the 2 accounts, and maybe I wasn't far enough away from one another, or maybe it does that regardless. I'm actually not too sure. But we're not dead, and Corp is almost dead, so this is a good sign. Let me just make sure I safe up on both accounts. And yeah, this is a lot of clicking, and again, if I actually had even 70 defense, much less 99 defense, instead of 50 on 416 Hero, this would definitely be a lot easier as well, but that's not the case. Well, it didn't take long for it to happen. Before 416 Hero has sniped a KC. Well, I wouldn't actually call it sniped because, well, I kind of died on the maxed account, ironically enough, and 416 Hero was able to get more DPS out. Okay, something I'm really struggling with so far is when the core is out. I briefly spoke about the auto retaliate thing, and I turned off auto retaliate for that, which does make it a little bit better. But I can't really seem to predict or understand how the core jumps from player to player right now. And yeah, that's giving me a hard time. I'm missing out on a lot of DPS when that happens on both accounts, and also taking a lot of damage. Into another KC here, and I've made some adjustments because I'm not going to lie, I've continued to die a fair few more times. So I definitely brought in the anglers for some combo eats. This is pretty much like Zora, where no matter what you do, at any given time on the blue phase, the mage phase, the fake mage phase, you know, at Zora, you can just get comboed out for back-to-back 40s, and just spamming Krawamwans isn't going to save you there. So, yep, we're going to be using anglers and Krawamwans. I do have a healthy stack of anglers. I have about 7k cooked, and I think another 3 to 4k raw. So, yeah, we definitely have a lot of anglers to go through. Not a problem there. It was obvious that this method was going to be much quicker, but I'm still shocked at how much quicker it is. Each KC is probably anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes. Now imagine if 416 Hero was a maxed account which also had max gear. A few more KCs in now, and bringing the combo eats has helped out a ton. Haven't died in recent KCs, so that's good. Although if I'm not careful, Corp can still very much combo me out if I'm not paying enough attention. I guess the trade-off with this strategy, well, 2 things, right? It's a lot more intensive than the spec down method, but it is a lot quicker, and the food consumption is very high. I'm actually using a lot of food between the 2 accounts. But Krawamwans, well, we're in no short supply of those, and anglers we have plenty of right now. I'll just have to make sure I do more angler fishing, or even we don't have to use anglers. I can use sharks or whatever else I have in my bank. But right now I have plenty of anglerfish, so I'm going to continue using that since it's one of the best pieces of food I have available. As we close out on this KC here, there's a good chance that 416 Hero might get kill credit for this, and he does. He gets 250 soul runes. That's actually the 3rd KC on that account now, so I've sniped about 3 KC. Again, I mentioned it's not too big of a deal. I think I may have just killed myself there with my own divine. I had to repot there, and the timing of that was just so unfortunate. Quick little check-in on the main normal account. Just 50,000 EXP to go. We're almost there. 2,000 steel cannonballs. We're working on KC 594 now, at least on the maxed account. I think we've picked up 4 KC on the 50 defense, so we're racking it up. We're close to 600 even, but we actually passed a pretty significant... Oh, I'm about to die here. Let me just... Oh, man. Okay, I teleported out on one account. I'm going to bring it back in a second here, though. But as I was saying, we actually passed a very important milestone, that being KC 585, which is the rate to see any sigil. Now, just to reiterate from the previous videos, we already have 2 sigils. I'm wearing the one right now, the spectral spirit shield, I should say. And we've had the arcane for the longest time, the Eladinus fortified ward. So we're just hunting the Ellie. And obviously, with all that being said, we're very, very lucky right now. So we have a ways to go to reach the Elysian spirit shield drop rate. Or the sigil, rather. Here we go, last inventory to 99 sailing to max total level once again on the normal account. There we have it, 99 sailing. We are back to being maxed on 2 accounts. Now what? Honestly, I don't know. I should probably go pick up the sailing cape, which by the way, the sailing emote is incredibly sick. It's probably the best skilling cape emote in the game, in my opinion. But I'm gonna chill here and do some more salvaging for right now. Just don't want to leave. It's super AFK content, and as long as I have membership on this account, I might as well keep going. Maybe snag a couple more dragon cannon barrels or something, or maybe even the pet, who knows. But before we move on to well, more Corp actually, let's take a look at the opulent salvage it took me from, I believe it's 87. Yes, 87 shipwreck salvaging. Merchant shipwrecks 87, so 87 all the way to 99. We did 51,324 opulent salvage. And this is almost entirely just using 2 crewmates to do the actual salvaging the entire time because, well, I've just had this in the background while I've been doing other things on the other 2 accounts. But that was KC 600, so another nice little milestone. And I believe right now 416 Hero has sniped about 5 KC, so 605 KC in total. We are making good progress. Some more steel cannonballs. Small break in the action to do a quick birdhouse run on 416 Hero. Onyx bolt tips. Feels like I haven't seen this drop in a while. I feel like it comes in spurts. You either see like 3 of those in 5 KC or you don't see them for a while. But off the top of my head, I think they are like a 1 in 25 or something like that. So they're really not, well, I don't know. 24 KC, 25 KC does take a while, but it's not as rare as some other stuff. The Onyx bolts into the steel cannonball drop. Feels good, man. The loot beam never gets old. I've been doing this for a few sessions now, and we're now well over 600 KC. So I think I've done enough KCs now to where I've figured out what works for me personally, and that's to keep both my accounts as high health as possible. I mean, that sounds obvious, but basically anytime I can combo eat an angler and a Karamwan, which is going to net me 40 health. So if I ever drop below 60 health, essentially, I'm going to go ahead and combo eat really quickly, and then I should be relatively safe. Obviously, sometimes Corp, when, you know, you don't drain its stats, can be pretty brutal, but for the most part, this is what's working for me. And the first KC of this session, 250 Rune Knight bolts. What I've also learned is that even just landing 1 hammer is very effective. You really don't need many hammers at all. The Fang is just that strong. Which means basically my strategy on entry is to hammer spec 4 times, and if at least 1 lands, then I'm just good to go and I'm going to start fanging. Obviously, if I don't hit a single hammer, I'm going to teleport out with both accounts and try again. Earlier, I mentioned the difficulty with dealing with the core, and perfect timing, a core actually comes out. I still don't have a perfect method of handling this, but I just try to spread my 2 accounts out as far away as possible from each other, and then just try to take my time, even if it means I miss a few hits on Corp. But ensuring that I get rid of the core quickly, well, that's really the most dangerous part of this fight, really, in my opinion. Keeping my health up above 50 during this, when nothing's really happening, I just have to look for the health bar on both accounts, is relatively simple, but when the core comes out, sometimes I swear I'm going cross-eyed. That's the only remotely difficult part of this process. When it comes to banking, I'm actually getting used to that now too. Not an issue there too. I guess all it took was a couple of reps. We're only 2 KC in on this session, and 416 Hero has already snagged another KC. We're up to 9 KC on this account now, which is a bit surprising at first when you think about it, considering this is a 50 defense account, lacking piety, and obviously lacking a whole lot of gear that's available on my maxed account. Well, the more I think about it, it does make sense. Sometimes when the core spawns, for some reason, my maxed account just gets focused a bit more on that KC, and as such, I'll miss quite a few hits on that account, especially if the core doesn't just go away in one shot. You know, sometimes it's just a little frustrating. It takes multiple hits. You're just not hitting very high, and the core takes up quite a bit of time. So I guess in those instances, that's when 416 Hero snipes the KC. Not this one, though. On 416 Hero, I've been banking at the Farming Guild, and obviously on Wait For It, I've been banking at the Crafting Guild. Well, I'm over here at the Farming Guild on both accounts because I just realized something. When I geared up to do Corp again on 416 Hero, I've been wearing Rune boots. Well, as it turns out, you know, my account can wear Arania boots, and this is something I had known, but I just completely forgot about this time around. That's how long I haven't played the 50 defense account. I wasn't actually even sure what was best in slot available on that account, but nice little boost there, and let's continue. If I'm not mistaken, the Arania boots are the offensive equivalent of Dragon boots, but obviously on a 50 defense account, I can't wear Dragon boots. Oh, and circling back to the hammer specs, I forgot one very important item that's actually useful for me, but otherwise useless as a solo Ironman oftentimes, and that is the Soul Flame Horn. Honestly, I don't think this thing gets much love, unfortunately, because it's a team-orientated item, and well, there's just not too many instances of doing team gameplay in Old School RuneScape, which is a MMO, ironically, but yeah, that's just the way this game is mostly structured. But we do get to use the Soul Flame Horn now. Since I mentioned that, you know, even just one spec is good enough, I think I can horn twice and guarantee myself 2 hammers without having to go regenerate spec energy. So that's going to be more consistent and a bit of a time save, because sometimes I do get unlucky and I have to teleport out on both accounts. I missed 4 straight hammers. In fact, there's been a few instances where I've missed 8 straight hammers, and that's just very unfortunate and definitely takes up a good minute or two. I think I'm going to put 416 Hero on horn duty. That way I get more damage output on the maxed account. Okay, first attempt with the horn. Let's see what we should do here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and horn now. This hammer should be guaranteed to hit. And then one more. There we go. Perfect. And then, oh, actually, I missed the second one. I wasn't in range for the second one. Awkward. I have 45 spec now on 416 Hero. I guess I'll just dump some Fang specs. That second hammer hit anyways, though, so that's good news. But that's the gist of it. Obviously, I didn't execute it very cleanly there, but yeah, you know, simple enough. First notable drop of the session, a Spirit Shield. That is our 16th one. The back-to-back Onyx Bolts. Okay. Ah, crap. Exposed myself for dying, but Onyx Bolts. It's so weird. I think I've actually died on the 99 maxed defense account more than the 50 defense. I don't know how Corp decides which account to target. I think it's just random. Starting another KC, I decided to bank the Soul Flame Horn. Unfortunately, you know, I thought I would make good use of it, but it's actually kind of a hassle to use. I don't know. If I had an actual second person in the game group with me, playing with me, it could be very easily utilized. But playing on 2 accounts at once doloing, it just felt very awkward to coordinate it for whatever reason. And I mean, look, we just went in and we hit 4 hammer specs right there. Obviously, that's on the lucky side, hitting all 4 hammers. But I think more times than not, we're going to hit at least 1 hammer in the 4 attempts. So, yep, going to bank the Soul Flame Horn. Maybe it is dead content after all. Wow, we are streaking on the Onyx Bolts now. That is KC 650 as well. More Onyx Bolts. This is back to back too. What the... Don't mind if I do. So going back to the conversation we had about using the horn, on paper the horn is obviously very good to use, but in a situation like this where I'm playing 2 accounts at once, I just found it incredibly awkward, and ever since switching back to just the good old-fashioned method where I run in on both accounts, throw 4 hammers down, and if 1 hits, we're good, things have been a lot more fluid. I think I'm getting like 3 to 4 minute KCs, and I'm not dying as much, so that's good. Ooh, that is our third holy elixir. I guess if we get a dupe spectral or an arcane, I can actually make... Actually, I don't need it for the arcane, but if I do get a spectral, I can make a dupe spectral spirit shield. So that's pretty cool. That was KC 677 on this account, and I believe I have 9 KC on 416 Hero. Onyx bolts, KC 682. The last few times it's been Onyx bolt tips, but here on this one, steel cannonballs, 2k of them. And back to the Onyx bolts drops for today. 416 Hero just snagged the last KC once again. Actually, snagging the KCs has been a lot less frequent since I figured out the method, but we're up to 10 KC on 416 Hero now. Let's take a look at the collection log. That's right, it has absolutely nothing in 10 KC. Surprise, surprise. I spoke on the spectral sigil earlier, right? Oh my, there it is. The dupe spectral sigil. Shortly after the holy elixir. It wasn't even that long ago. I don't know how many KC ago, but it really could not have been that long ago. Wow. That is KC 696. Look at this collection log. I can't believe we even saw a third sigil. You know, like, this is crazy. I don't even know what to say. So even before I pulled the second spectral right there, and it was actually during the fourth holy elixir pull, I did mention that if I ended up with a dupe, I even said spectral specifically, so I guess I spoke that into existence, that I would make use of it on 416 Hero, this account right here. Now, if you do 2 and 2 together, you can figure out that, well, that means I do plan on moving on from the stat restrictions on this account in order to use things like the spectral shield. Pretty sure the spectral shield has a defense requirement. In fact, I'm like, 100% sure on that. And I think it may have a prayer requirement as well. That I'm not 100% sure on, but I think it's a safe guess that it does. And obviously our attack level 82 is restricted as well, although that doesn't pertain necessarily to the spirit shield here. But yeah, I do plan on moving on from these stat restrictions and making my way to being maxed one day. Max combat and maybe even max total level. That way we have 2 maxed accounts on the GIM group. It's a pretty ambitious goal, pretty long-term goal, but that opens up the door for a lot of content for us to navigate through. Now, longtime viewers of the series will know that I did end up putting this account here on the back burner because, well, I simply didn't know what I wanted to do with it anymore after achieving the Inferno Cape and the Quiver being a stat-restricted account. Those were my 2 main goals, and I set out to achieve them, and, well, I did achieve them. Since accomplishing those 2 things, I've really put this account on the back burner, and I just didn't know what to do, and I wasn't motivated to PVM on this account, not because 50 defense was too tough of a challenge, but something I did not account for as a challenge was the amount of prayer I'd be using, the amount of supplies. It was crazy. Especially playing on 2 accounts, that was just way too much upkeep, and I'm not the type of person to be one-tick flicking everything, so... Yeah, I would say it's not even so much the 50 defense, it's actually the 63 prayers. So the 63 prayers is probably going to be the first thing we move on from, and then defense to follow, because if I'm going to level prayer anyways, that means I'll be able to get piety, rigor, and augury. Well, assuming I train to 70 defense after that. But at that point, I think I might as well go for max combat and maybe max total level one day. With all that being said, I guess I can end it on that note. That's the beauty of playing as Dolo Gim. When I pull a dupe, for most people, it's kind of a disappointing thing. For me, it just opens up more doors and provides gear for the second account that I'm playing. With all that being said, that's all the time I have for right now. When I first started the Corp grind, I don't think I officially announced this, but I do plan on getting to 1000 Corp KC and then reassessing my situation, see what my next grind I want to do is, because things like Fasani's Nightmare, which is the grind we did before coming to Corp, and Corp itself are very, very long endgame grinds. So we're going to have to break it up, we're not going to shoot for 4095 Corp KC in one go. And when I say 1000 KC, it's just going to be 1000 KC on this account. Wait for it here. I don't intend on snagging more kills on 416 Hero. I never do. But in the event that happens, I guess we'll just consider those bonuses. But 1000 on this account will be a nice clean number to end off on for now, only to return at a later date. Unless sometime between that point and now, we pull an Ellie, but I feel like that is incredibly unlikely.